Maimonides was a controversial figure in Jewish history because he combined two things that nobody had quite combined with such prowess before. On the one hand, he was an ish halacha. He was the greatest rabbi of the Middle Ages. He wrote the greatest law code in all of Jewish history, the Mishnah Torah. He was an absolutely outstanding master halachist and a commentator on the Talmud and everything else. At the same time, he also mastered what we call chokhmah, which is the universal wisdom of humankind, which we have in virtue of the fact that at the beginning of history, God made us each in his image, which Rashi defines as lahavin ulahaskil. God gave us the power to understand and discern. And that translated itself into two fundamental disciplines in Maimonides' day, and still to some extent today, namely philosophy and science. And Maimonides was an absolute master at both these things, at both science and philosophy. So his first published work was on how to calculate the calendar, was on astronomy. His second published work was Milota Higayon, a treatise on logic. He knew the works of Aristotle and Plato and the Islamic interpreters and so on. Now, Jews knew you could be one thing or another thing, but somebody who was both at the same time was quite perplexing to them. And occasionally it would spill over into the kind of things Maimonides did. So, for instance, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law written by Joseph Caro in the 16th century, it begins, Orach Chaim, chapter 1, paragraph 1, about getting up in the morning. That's the Jewish way, begin in the beginning, getting up in the morning. The Rambam begins the Mishnah Torah not with getting up in the morning, but with the existence of God. In other words, Maimonides brought to bear the logical imagination, whereas Joseph Caro brought to bear the chronological imagination, where time begins, not where logic begins. And this was all very unprecedented, and actually nobody really followed the Rambam in this. The Rambam includes, at the beginning of his law code, Sefer HaMadda, which is all about physics and metaphysics, and said all sorts of things that no one had ever said before.